Hello, welcome to our webcast at yourbookmybook.com. Today we have Aaron Luke, author of Is It Really That Simple? Welcome to the show, Aaron. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Just very excited to be here, and I'm honored that you asked me to be a part of this.
We appreciate you coming. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about myself. Born and raised in Ohio. Went to Miami University in Oxford, Ohio. Go Red Hawks. I've got a varied background doing some things in ministry and education. I've coached high school football for a number of years, just a lot of different experiences. And currently, my wife and I own a business online. You can check out excellentproductsforyou.com if you ever get a chance. Just doing that and focused on what we're doing as far as promoting this book.
What inspired you to write? Is it really that simple?
A lot of things, to be honest with you. I felt like just in all of my different experiences, and even for myself, I think the biggest question that everyone really has is why? Why do we exist? Why does the earth exist? Why does the universe exist? Why does anything exist? And I think that fundamental question really kind of precedes everything else that we do in life. And so often, we get up and we go to our jobs, we raise families, we socialize with one another, we do all these different things, but, at the end of the day, we really don't know why we're doing anything that we're doing. And so I kind of felt like, okay, if we could get to the root of the issue of everything that we do, it would probably help all of us be a lot more effective in the way that we live our lives and engage with one another.
Who should read this book?
This book is for absolutely everybody. Obviously, I'm talking about God and his viewpoint of creation and why he created humanity and thus the earth and everything that's in it. But this book is really for, I would say, two different audiences, to be honest with you. There's the audience that really has never really explored a relationship with God. They've kind of lived life the way they've been told to live it. They've kind of done things the way that they're used to doing them, going to school, getting a job, doing all these different things, but they've never really pursued a relationship with God or even wanted to really find out about, what that would look like. Now, with that same group, I would include people that, you may be an atheist. Maybe you don't believe God exists for whatever reason, circumstances, or maybe you fall into certain ideologies that you think suggest that God doesn't exist. I would include people that in that category, maybe you have issues with truth. One of the fundamental things that people deal with is what is truth. So many people go into whether or not what they believe is the truth. And I directly address this actually in one chapter. But people tend to think that whatever they believe is the truth. And I think you and I both know from a logical standpoint, truth is not based on belief. It's based on evidence. It's based on fact. It's not based on your belief. It doesn't matter what you believe if what you believe is not the truth. As a matter of fact, if you look up the definition of truth, it is, by definition, a verifiable, indisputable fact or statement. So, when we get into issues of truth, it really has nothing to do with what you believe. Is what you believe the truth. So with that being said, again, I feel like this book is for anybody that fits any of these descriptions so far. I feel like we got something for everybody, no matter where you're at with your stance and your viewpoint on everything. The second group of people are people that currently claim to have a relationship with God and try to live in a way that's pleasing to him and the things that he has thus said is important and things of that nature. This book is to really give you a narrowed, more specific focus on why he really created us. A lot of times what we think about why he created us and what his actual intentions are can sometimes be far apart. And I think if we can marry those two things, I think we can all live a life that's a lot more effective and a lot more fulfilling.
What is the message of the book?
To be honest, the real message of the book is simply kind of what I just said. It's to get to the root of the issue of why did God actually create humanity? When we understand what his thought process was, what his intentions are, what he's really trying to accomplish, we really get a much better sense of why he communicates with us the way that he does. For instance, when we look at issues of morality and spirituality, a lot of times we just label those as religious things, or these are just customs or part of the culture or society. We look at them from a perspective of, well, that's that, and that may or may not be for me. But when we look at things from, why do we actually exist? Why is the earth here? and why did God actually create us? Then when we get to that, we get a lot more specific as to why he communicates with us. Why did he decide to say the things that are important to him are important to him? Why are certain things important to him and why other things are not necessarily important? Why are things labeled as good or bad or right and wrong and things of those nature? Why is it established that way? And when we get to the reason of why he created us, this very specific reason why, then it makes a lot more sense to us. And then we're able to make some different choices based on that.
There are many similar books out right now. How's your book, Is It Really That Simple, different from other purpose books?
That's a great question, and I'm glad you asked that. Probably the biggest thing is we are much more focused on the intent of God in creating humanity. The first part of the book is really dedicated towards what God's original thought process was, what he did with Adam and Eve, why he established things the way he did, and how that's actually affecting us in the way that we live right now, and we may or may not even know that. That's probably the biggest underlying theme of the book. When it comes to comparing it to other books that are very similar in nature, everyone's really focused on that purpose thing, which is good. Once we, again, establish that reason of why God created us, what his purpose was, then our purpose makes more sense within his purpose. You'll see that, okay, the reason that I exist, the things that are important to me, the things that I feel called or led to do or get involved with, the things that I love and hate, and all these different things and emotions and desires that we have, when we understand what God's viewpoint is, we can understand why what we feel is important and what we feel our purpose is actually important. And it has a lot more to do with just us. It has something to do with everybody.
What did you hope to accomplish by writing this book?
The biggest thing I want to accomplish with this book is just flat out understanding. I want people to have a clear picture of why God actually created everything in terms of the earth and why he created us. And I think if we can understand that, we have a launching point to actually live life on purpose, not just get up every day and do the things that we're used to doing, that we're accustomed to doing, because somebody else even said that, this is important. But not just to get up and live life because of things that may or may not really matter, but to live life on purpose with the purpose. And this fundamental starting point can be accomplished by reading this book.
How do you want the reader to respond to your book?
Biggest thing I want the reader to do is to read the book, meditate on it, and then actually put it into action. Take what's being said, take what's being communicated, and immediately start to act upon that. For instance, the middle part, probably the middle towards the end of the book, I really get into what a person's purpose is in line with what God's purpose is. And I think prior to that, we do a really good job of trying to establish and communicate why these things are so important. And the biggest thing I would hope that somebody would take from this book is to read it, immediately begin to pursue the things that they feel God has actually created them for, because they'll see that how important that is, not only to themselves, but to all of us, and how that's important to God's grand scheme of things.
Where can the audience purchase your book? Is it really that simple?
The book can be purchased at westbowpress.com, which is the publishing company. Go to the website, which is westbowpress.com. You just put my name in the search engine, and the book will come up. You'll be able to purchase it right there. You can purchase the actual copy of it, or you can get it through the ebook as well.
We appreciate you joining us and being a part of our webcast for yourbookmybook.com.
Thanks for having me.